Okay, we're on. All right, well, thank you, everyone. Today, Tuesday, August 15th, to the new incarnation of the 2023 Accessibility Committee. So I'm very excited to be here. My name is Stephanie Clark, and I will be chairing the meeting until such time as we elect a chair, and then I'll turn it over to that individual. So we'll start with the land acknowledgement. On August 15th, 2023, we acknowledge that the sacred land on which Smiths Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. The land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution to the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smiths Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. So I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:04. Item number 3, approval of agenda. It's short and sweet, so if there's any issues with it, please let me know. If we're okay with moving forward, if I can get a motion to approve the agenda, that would be great. Lucy, thank you. Is there a seconder? Do I need a seconder? Courtney? Thank you. All right, all in favor? So carried. All right, we have no minutes, so we will not be adopting them, but perhaps in the future we can. Is there a disclosure of monetary interest around this table? Is everyone aware of what that means? No? Mayor Pankow, would you like to?
Well, essentially, if you have a personal interest and opportunity, either gain or loss financially from anything that will be on the agenda, you would indicate that and remove yourself from that discussion. It may come up. Obviously, nothing to do tonight, but if we're talking about, let's say, a business downtown, and we were about accessibility there, and you work there, well, maybe you'd want to remove yourself from that as an example.
Mm-hmm. It typically doesn't come up very often, but thank you for that. Sorry to put you on the spot. I figured you've been through this before, so you would know. So seeing none, we'll move on. And so I would like to move to the appointment of the chair. So is there anyone who has any interest in being the chair of this committee? Lucy Bingley, okay. Do I have a motion on the floor to nominate Lucy? Sean, thank you. Mayor Pankow. Is that a seconder? Courtney? Okay, thank you. May I just got to write that down, sorry, Courtney. Is there a vote in the House? All in favor? All right, unanimous, so carried. Congratulations, Chair Bingley. All right, so once appointed, which is now, I'm going to turn this over to you if you're okay with that. Thank you very much. So we're on number 7, and we're moving to the appointment of Vice Chair.
Okay, so we'll move on. Number 7, appointment of Vice Chair. Do I see any interest in the Vice Chair?
I was contacted by member Corey Agnew, indicated an interest in being Vice Chair. I don't know from a procedural standpoint if he would have to be here or if there is other interest, but I mentioned him, I would bring that forward.
As I understand it, as long as the committee is in favor, then that would be acceptable, because he did intend, he gave regrets, so it's not that he just didn't show. So,
okay.
So we will call him Vice Chair for now, and then
we'll need a seconder for, so moved by
Sure.
Mayor Pankow. Okay, and then is there a seconder? Stephanie, thank you. All in favor? Oh, sorry, that's you. Sorry, I'm sorry. No problem.
Don't want to work for you, Lucy.
Okay, thank you.
everybody okay to move on to number 8 is delegations. We have none this evening, given the nature of the meeting. Priority issues. Our first priority issue is introductions. So I'll kind of start that off and introduce myself, and then we'll maybe go from my left and around right. So my name is Lucy Bingley. previous member of the Accessibility Committee as well. Was chair last time, and certainly honored to be this time. I am a recreation therapist, and I'm currently volunteering at the hospital and helping with recreation there, and really disabilities are something that I live with, but also have a very keen interest in making sure that everybody can participate in whatever way they can. So we'll move on to my left.
My name is Heidi Trick. I am a first-time member of the committee. I am excited to be here. My role in the committee is hoping to become more inclusive. My husband has been come with disability issues over the last 5 years, so navigating that stream of life, I'm really helping to help the town grow and prosper and be better accessible. I am in real estate as well, so helping the town grow as a community and being accessible for everyone is my goal to help. And hopefully I can contribute that as much as I can.
And if I could just interject one point, in terms of what I see my role in the committee as being is really to focus on the goals contained in the work plan that will be discussed at further meetings, and overall just to champion accessibility, continue researching, learning about people's experiences with disabilities, and really trying to determine how people are going to be able to participate. So that's really what I see my role as. So we'll continue to my right.
My name is Debbie Small. This is my first time doing anything like this. Never been on any kind of committees before. Sorry. I deal with various types of disabilities right now. For the last 5 years, I'm hoping to be able to learn from other people who have obviously been doing this for a while, and I have a background working with people who have disabilities. I worked for 32 years in group home with people with disabilities before I had my brain aneurysm rupture. Lost my train of thought, sorry. So hopefully I can bring something to yeah.
You got it.
Thank
To the
you.
table.
Thank you.
My turn.
Yeah.
All right,
Go.
we'll move on. Courtney?
My name is Courtney Priest. I served last year on the Housing Advisory Committee, was it? Yep. I see my role here as being someone who can kind of offer, I don't know, a different side of like what accessibility means, because I walked around Smiths Falls for 18 years as an able-bodied person, and you know, I saw some ramps in places and thought, oh, like this is accessible. But then when I became paralyzed, I realized that like accessibility sometimes is more than just a couple ramps here and there. So having lived with a disability, I feel like I can offer a different view on things, and maybe, I don't know, what I hope to see is maybe a few accessible parks, because being a mom and having a little guy myself, you know, I take him to the park and I have to kind of sit on the sideline and watch him run around and play by himself. And I know he'd love for me to be able to get up on a play structure, go on a swing with him or something like that. And I know there are other parents who have disabilities or who have kids who have disabilities. So I'd just like to see more inclusivity for maybe kids with disabilities around town.
Yeah.
Sean Panko, Mayor, we formed this committee last term because I think it's important that council and the municipality better understand some of the barriers and challenges that people with disabilities face in our community. And that's probably the only way we can truly, I guess, eliminate or reduce barriers is by trying to see the town through your eyes and through the eyes of people in our community who face those challenges all the time. And while we made some progress in recent years, we know that there are still so many barriers for people in our community. And we're not just talking physical barriers for accessibility, but even people who have visual impairment or a learning disability or hearing impairment. And so really it's a matter of trying to ensure a community, and Courtney used the word inclusive, it does work for everybody. And it's not going to be a quick fix. We know that any project we undertake, this being one, Beckwith Street being another as an example, when you do a redevelopment, you have to make sure you meet the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. And that's simply something we have to do. But I think those standards are to be in place, further standards to be in place by 2025. And we understand the problems is probably going to continue with that timeline. But it's not a matter of trying to meet provincial standards. It's really a matter of trying to make sure that we are a community that does work for everybody. And I think we've had, I think, successive councils that are very interested in trying to be a community that does work for everyone. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to make sure that this group can provide that understanding and recommendations that I think will make a difference. And whether that is greater accessibility in playgrounds, whether that is making sure people can get around town effectively. We did a new community improvement plan last year, and within the new community improvement plan, we do have potential funding for accessibility improvements. And so things like that I think the municipality can do. We're not going to solve all the challenges, but through your eyes, your experiences, and that of our community, we hopefully can make a difference.
My name is Stephanie Cates. This is my first term on the committee, and I live with a disability as well. And I feel that we need to make sure that we have enough knowledge and commitment to helping other people who are not just visibly disabled, but those with disabilities that we can't see. And so I'm hoping that my lived experience can help put forward some of that for other people. I do volunteer in the community. I help out at Jules Gently Used Clothing, and I'm also on the Falls Food Hub Committee. So I get experience meeting other people and seeing what their issues are and what their problems are, and have had many conversations, and I hope that I can take that information and put it to good use here.
Okay. So Chris McGuire just joined us, and he's on my phone because I can't figure out how to let him in because Teams is not letting me let you in. So can you hear us? Oh, because you're right next to my face. So okay, can everyone hear Chris?
Chris?
Are you still there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have much to say, just happy to listen in.
Okay, so Lucy is the chair, and we're just in the midst of going around and introducing ourselves. And you're actually between Stephanie Cates and I, so Lucy, I'm assuming he's up.
Yes. Counselor?
Sorry I can't be there in person, but yeah, I'm really excited that we're having our first meeting, and as one of the council, like reps from council, I'm hoping just to listen and learn and be able to bring the ideas that the committee comes up with back to council so that we can see more positive change in town.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So I'm just going to put you on the top of the horseshoe. Okay, my turn. Oh, me. Kind of hoping. Okay, so my name is Stephanie Clark. I am the Director of Community Services. I've been in town for about 4 months now, and it's been pretty good so far. I have left a community in Nunavut to come here, and so one of the things that I found really difficult in Nunavut is that accessibility is not a priority. We don't have the services. We don't have a lot of sidewalks even, let alone ramps for sidewalks. There's a lot of bedrock, a lot of challenges. And so it was a really, a literal uphill battle to build accessible spaces and places. And when we did do that, we weren't doing enough planning and thinking for the future. And so we would sort of meet the bare minimum. And then if that, we would think about how, when something came up, it was sort of issues responsive as opposed to forward thinking. And so when I came here, I was happy to be appointed as the staff support to this committee. I have a personal and professional, but personal desire to see more accessible for community spaces for kids in particular. So I'm happy to hear that. And I think that, Courtney, you're speaking to kids and families and how that's really important for them to be able to play together. So as a kid who had I was very lucky to be able to learn to walk and to be able to walk unimpeded. And it was a lot of effort from my parents and medical interventions in order to be able to do that. This is a thing that's very near and dear to my heart. I also have a special needs nephew who is challenged in lots of physically mobile ways. And so it's important for me to be able to bring him to my home and take him to the splash pad and to make sure that he is a place to play. And so from a professional side, I think we are making strides. We are doing some good things, but we're woefully inadequate until we have spaces where all kids and all families can see that they can find meaning and belonging. We won't be done the process. So this is a strategic plan item from council, but also a strategic plan item for me. And so I'm really excited to be a part of this. And then I get to also be like, hey, tell me more. We want to do this right. And we want to continue to make sure that we're just signaling to the community that we care about them as an organization, but also that we create space for people to belong, because that's, I think, fundamentally what we want to do. So that's my spiel. And I'm here to take notes.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Pleasure to meet all of you. And looking forward to working with you in the years to come. And we'll move on to priority issue number 2, which is the overview of municipal policies, documents, and procedures. And I have on my agenda that Stephanie is going to lead that discussion. And I believe she's starting the terms of reference. So, Stephanie?
Yeah, so I'll sort of, not to belabor the point, but so this information was sent out to everyone. If you need an additional copy, we can figure out how to get that to you in a way that works best. I'm assuming everyone has read the terms of reference, the conflict of interest, the accountability and transparency, and code of conduct information. I just really wanted to open it up to, were there any questions or concerns or any clarification that was needed from anyone on that? Lucy? Yeah, for sure.
I just have a couple of points after sort of comparing the old terms of reference to the new ones. And there's just a few changes that I would like to bring forward and get the committee's input and potentially change a little bit. So to start off, if you go to mandate of the Accessibility Advisory Committee, give everybody a minute to go there.
Stephanie, you put it on the screen by chance?
I can try. I can try. Let me see. I might have to bring you up.
Mission statement, Lucy?
Mission statement, I think is fine. I'm looking at mandate of the Accessibility Advisory Committee, which is on page 2 of the new ones.
Okay, I've got it here.
Hold on a sec here. I don't think it was loaded up. Carrie, I'm not sure if she loaded it up for me or if it was sent it to. Let me just see if I can text Sean.
To move this down and Debbie can see it as well.
Actually, Sean, I have 2 copies.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I
here,
just
Debbie,
realized
and
that
can
I think I
pass
believe
them
it's
for you.
Yeah,
the same
Debbie, and I
copy.
can share one.
sure. Okay, thanks.
Okay, sorry.
We're okay now, I think.
Okay, we're good? Okay.
Stephanie, you have a copy?
Oh, yeah, I got it here.
Okay, thanks everyone. Sorry about that. I appreciate your patience as I'm learning the system. It's the first time I've done this.
Everybody is okay to proceed then? Okay. So under the mandate of the Accessibility Committee, I noticed that there's 2 bullet points omitted in the new terms of reference, and just wanted to make a few points about that. So the 2 points that are out are that the committee advised council on how to make the corporation town of Smith Falls more accessible to people with disabilities, and to review and advise council upon request only on the following areas, and then it lists them. And I really think that focus needs to be brought to the committee, and so I think putting that back in would be good. Really to bring that focus to what are we trying to do as a committee. It sort of grounds us into what we're doing. Sort of one of the examples of what was done on last committee term was a lot of consultation around accessibility of this beautiful new town hall. And so I think having that would be really nice to have back in there. Another thing that I came across is if you go to voting members under committee structure, where it says up to 2 members of council, 5 members that are citizens with disabilities, 2 members citizen volunteers that are residents of Smith Falls, and just gonna see there. I really think that the new members majority should be persons with disabilities. I'm not sure that, if you look at a situation even like this evening, to really have that representation, and so we don't have a situation where there's nobody with a disability at a meeting, and and therefore their voices aren't heard. It's also an issue when you come to voting purposes. It's, of course, people that are able-bodied are going to vote probably in favor of some of these issues, but again, that perspective needs to be from people with disabilities as well. If we go to the next page under meetings, and it says there will be a minimum of, just look here at the new ones, it's talking about how they're to have 3 meetings a year, and I'm just kind of thinking, is that going to be enough? 3 hours in a year? That I don't feel that's enough to get anything accomplished, really. So I think that might benefit from going up to say 6 or maybe even more. I'm just gonna look here. Under quorum, it says a majority of voting members shall constitute a quorum. In the event that a quorum is not met, the meeting may proceed, but members cannot vote or make decisions. And I think there needs to be a section in there that talks that one member of that quorum must be a person with a disability. So we really have that representation in there. And I'm thinking that's all I see. Is there any questions or comments about any of that, or anything that somebody else would like to add, Courtney?
Can I ask how many hours do other committees average?
It probably varies, but most would meet monthly. And probably an hour to an hour and a half, so it depends on it. And I think, it does indicate three minimum, but I think based on, the interest of everyone here, we probably want to meet more frequently, and I would think monthly, or maybe even a time, maybe more frequently if there's certain things happening.
Special projects or something.
Yeah. And maybe even early on, and because when you think of having a work plan or visioning, or a session where we're trying to, identify all the potential barriers in town, or whatever we want to focus on, it may be a time when it's more frequent. So it's really the call of the chair. So Lucy, you're in control.
I do agree that it should be moved up from a minimum of 3, because say something happens and we've only got 3 done, we've reached our minimum.
Well, and if you look at, now this is from, I believe 2010, but if you look at the policy respecting the appointment of members, on just a couple of pages in, it talks about, if you don't attend 50% of the meetings, you're not eligible for reappointment. But if you only have 3 meetings a year, if you miss one, you're done already. So I think bumping that up would kind of eliminate that issue. So
I think Chris had a comment.
Oh, you did, Councillor McGuire.
Councillor McGuire, go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I cut out a bit there, so I missed some of it. So I hope I'm not relevant here. I know you brought up the composition of the committee, and I know that was a challenge with trying to get our first meeting and trying to get enough people signed up. So I'm wondering if it would be something if we set at maybe a minimum of 5 members, and then say with a majority representatives living with a disability, and then say up to 2 council reps, up to 2 community reps, and kind of have it as an up to, so it gives more flexibility that if there's, if there's a full slate of candidates that can be nominated, great, but we can still meet without the full complement in the meantime.
I think that is important that, the meeting may be able to go on, but no decisions are made, nothing is moved, no motions are created, nothing that eliminates the inclusion of who's not there.
Yeah, and I guess this would be more for the composition of the committee, not so much for the meeting for quorum. I think probably whatever the quorum rule is probably good, but just when we're trying to nominate members for a new term, just making it a little bit more flexible there, so we don't. It seemed like in the last round of nominations, it was just hard to fill certain roles, and that's what's delayed part of the committee meeting. So if there's just a way to make that more flexible, I think it would be good, a good win-win.
Another thing too that I have come across, and was certainly true in the term last time, was that typically members prefer the meetings to only stay to an hour or an hour and a half. And I think that if we only have 3 meetings a year, that's not going to be enough. 3 hours is not very much time in a year, especially around things like accessibility week. We've done numerous projects, or any kind of event that might come up. I'm not sure that not having those meetings would be suitable. Is there any other further questions or comments on there? Yeah, Mayor Benko.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we take your comments into consideration, and then if everyone has a chance to review the terms of reference, have some thoughts, put it into maybe an email, and we'll bring back maybe a modified terms of reference for the next meeting. And if we agree that's the modification we want to see, because it has to be approved, have to go back to council for approval for a change to the terms of reference. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Stephanie, if you want to put together an email with some of those changes.
Absolutely.
And do that first.
Yeah, I mean, we have what you've indicated, Lucy. If there's anything else, I guess people have not had a chance to think about, or something comes up after the meeting.
Can I just say,
yeah,
I agree, with what you said about, and I mean this with zero disrespect whatsoever, but that people without disabilities shouldn't really be making the final say in terms of accessibility around town, because so I do agree that if there's going to be a vote on something, at least one person with a disability should be there to have some sort of say in what's going on.
Well, I'd even suggest we don't want a quorum unless we have the majority of the members living with a disability. Yeah. That makes it simple, probably. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't think if we don't have quorum, we don't hold a meeting, because I think it just means we're members that weren't here will miss out on any conversation, even though business can't be advanced. I just don't see a lot of benefit in having a meeting if no decisions can be made. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So would it be, so if I was to sort of wordsmith these suggestions and then send it out as a document, as a working document, would that be sufficient? And then get some feedback, and then hopefully present to you guys as well, just to get a final sort of stamp of approval, and then I would take that to council. Does that make sense?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Is everybody in favor of that?
Okay. Yep. Right on. Okay.
And really going, Madam Chair, if I may, there's room for more membership, obviously, right? So-
Absolutely.
So I think, so I think it's important that if we're even in our own circles, if we know people who might bring great benefit here, we maybe ask if they'd be interested in being part of this group.
We're allowed to recruit people.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Come on.
exactly. Okay.
All right, so do we want to put that discussion to a close then for tonight? Are we?
I'm good. And there were no other questions around conflict of interest or accountability, code of conduct, anything anyone wanted clarity on? It's relatively, I think relatively straightforward, but. And if I think just in terms of, if I could, if there are any concerns or you think there may be a conflict of interest or anything, I would be a resource that you could come to discuss confidentially what that might look like, and we could have that discussion and make decisions from there. So just use me as a resource.
Good. So we have covered the accountability and transparency in the code of conduct. Unless there's any further questions there, I think we can move on. Item 10 is correspondence items. There's none identified this evening. No in-camera issues either. Item 11, so we will move on and discuss our next meeting date, which is item 12. So, Mayor Panko?
Yeah, if I just want to, we didn't add it to the agenda, but just thinking about populating our next agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And if Director Clark has thoughts on whether it be a work plan, like how do we move forward from here?
From here? Certainly, I think, if I may, I could, I think working with Lucy to set the agenda. So if there are agenda items that are of burning desire to speak to, then we would send them to Lucy if that's acceptable, or you can send them to me and we can populate that agenda together. And then, we could firm it up and send it out in advance of the meeting.
Sure.
So I would suggest if we could do maybe a SWOT analysis next meeting. So like, what are our strengths now? What are the weaknesses in town and the opportunities and the threats? And just to sort of take a step back and try to understand some of the things that need our attention. Okay.
I think, so we'll, Stephanie will put out an email or something with our next date. Is there any dates that we know now don't work for people?
I guess, does this timing work best for everybody, or is there other times that would be more suitable?
This was the second sort of most popular time that was on the, I've never used Doodle before. It was a fascinating thing. So it was the second most popular time. Would it make sense for me to create a new poll and try to find as many people as possible, get the highest number of folks that can attend, and then try to regularize it based on that time and day? Would that make most sense?
Are all of our meetings going to be in person moving forward?
Well, we have the option. So it could be definitely in person if you want to be here, and I think it works best in person. But if people can't be here in person, they can come in via Zoom or Teams.
Come September, my little guy starts school and he's off the bus at 4, so I just need after 4. I mean, obviously it's not focused around me.
No,
but
we'll
it's helpful.
try to accommodate everybody, right?
Important that you're able to input.
I'll attend by Zoom if I can't be here in person.
Okay, so we'll leave that to Stephanie about maybe the 5 o'clock time then. Is that good with everybody?
That works well for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We want to
So-
probably within a month, right?
Yeah, I would think
Probably too long.
within a month it'd be good. And
Do we want to look at like a monthly meeting So I know the minimum says currently 3, but I think in my head I was sort of thinking at least until we get really rolling, having a monthly meeting. Is that
I
something that
think
we?
monthly is good, and we can reassess moving forward. But I definitely don't think 3 a year is enough. But monthly for now is good until we get established a little more.
And I wonder if we even look at the next one being sooner than a month.
Sure.
Since we're a little bit late getting started. And
Yeah.
tonight we're looking at a few formalities, but really not getting into the real work yet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll send a poll tomorrow or Friday just to give everyone a heads up. Okay.
Sounds good. All right. So I think that wraps our proceedings for today. So we will adjourn now, I believe, unless anybody has anything they would like to add. Counselor, you okay with adjournment now?
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Okay. So I will have somebody move adjournment. Courtney, thank you. And we'll have a seconder. Steph, thank you. So that is motion carried that the meeting be adjourned at, I'm not sure.
5:44.
Okay, at 5:44, and stand so adjourned until the next duly called accessibility committee meeting. So thank you, everybody, and we will look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Perfect.